Good afternoon, everyone. Joe Madden here. This is the Joe Madden Sports Show. I'm joined by Chris Andrews of South Point, Las Vegas. Chris, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me back.
Oh, always a pleasure to have you here. Time has flown over the summer. We are into the football season. How's the football season treating South Point?
It's been really busy so far, and we've done pretty good. No complaints on our end. Action's been great, and hopefully that continues for the next couple months.
Yeah, absolutely. We know it's going to continue. Everyone loving two-bet football season. Before we jump into some football, let's talk some MLB. We're getting into these final weeks before we hit the playoffs here. Where is South Point sitting with liability in the MLB?
Well, we definitely have a couple teams we want to beat. We want to beat the Braves. We got bet on them pretty good. The Mariners are a big exposure for us. That's really about the only two I'd say. Well, the Phillies too. Let me throw them in there. We're sweating those. So we got a couple we need to beat. We got a couple that are real good for us, like the Rays are real good for us. The Astros are actually good for us. Brewers, I don't know if they're still in it, but they're good for us. Blue Jays are good. Mets good. We got a lot of good teams going for us, and it's a couple bullets we got to dodge. And that's kind of the same story every year.
Well, if the Blue Jays can take this series versus the Yankees, definitely still in it. I don't know how much faith I have in the Blue Jays, though. They seem to shoot themselves in the foot in a lot of these games.
Well, I know it'd be real popular north of the border, and it would be okay here in Las Vegas, too, let me tell you. So I don't mind rooting for them at all.
Absolutely. And now the NHL season, we are in preseason right now with this kicking off October 7th for the regular. Are you taking preseason bets in the NHL?
Yeah, we take preseason bets. I'm looking at my board right now. I mean, like $500 would be a big bet. It's just not a big market for it. But, we have it up and guys can bet it. And, hockey's one of those things that when I first, I started out here in 1979. Even regular season hockey was hardly ever bet upon. But now we're doing preseason, and we do, total points for the year, and divisions, and just everything you could think of. So hockey's really become popular here in Las Vegas, and it's great to see it because I grew up in Pittsburgh, so big Penguin fan, and saw all the games and when they went from the original 6 to the 12 teams, and I've been a fan ever since.
Yeah, it's really interesting this preseason, like we've seen in others, doing these split squad games, something I'm not interested in betting, where half the team is like Calgary Flames yesterday, half the team was in Vancouver, half was in Calgary, and that's how they played these games. I don't know if I'm willing to put any money on it. Are you guys taking action in even those games with the split squads?
Not if we can help it. if we know there's split squads, we don't book it. But sometimes it gets past us. I'd be the first to admit that.
Absolutely. Okay, so you guys have Las Vegas, the Knights for your NHL team. Is that where you think you're going to see the most action in hockey for you guys?
Well, yes, probably, but I do think they kind of blew it. I think they really had this community firmly behind them. Then they got rid of Fleury, which I think was a monstrous mistake. He still had some hockey left in him. I mean, even if you had him coming off the bench for 25, 30 games, something like that. They got rid of Gallant. I'm not the biggest Gallant fan, but he did win with the team. And I think they fired him after a 3-game losing streak or something ridiculous. I think that was, so they kind of lost some of the support of the community. We'll see if they can gain it back. They went to the Stanley Cup Finals their first year in existence, and it's almost like they figured they were going to be there every year. Yeah, I told you, I'm a Penguin fan, so I've lived through 5 Stanley Cups, but I've also lived through us getting bounced in the first round. I don't know how many times. So that's just the nature of hockey, and I think a lot of the fans, maybe even the management, were in for a rude awakening. You don't get a ticket to the Stanley Cup Finals every year. That's just not the way hockey works. Even if you win the President's Cup or whatever, that's just not the way hockey is.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys do have a solid team there, though. If they can stay healthy is a question mark, because we know they dealt with issues like that. Let's talk some football here. How is South Point doing on the board with football? Yesterday, we saw some of those big upset dogs get those wins. Did it hit you guys hard?
The Wise Guys had a lot of winners yesterday, but we overcame it. We had a lot of action on some of the teams that, like Buffalo lost outright. And, a lot of the public was on Buffalo, but a lot of the sharp money was on Miami.
Yeah.
Look at the Kansas City game. The public was on Kansas City, even though the smart money was on the Colts. And, of course, the Colts won. So, it was kind of a zigzag kind of day. But, Joe, I always joke about it. Don't ever feel sorry for the bookmaker. We're going to be fine in the end. Just kind of worry about your own money. We'll be okay. And we wound up okay. It was a good day. Not like fantastic, but it was a good day.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking at tonight's game, where is your liability? Who do you guys need to win tonight?
Well, right now we need the Giants. And,
Okay.
So we've had a lot of Cowboy money. The Cowboys looked very good last week. All of a sudden, people are believing in Cooper Rush, even though probably 2 weeks ago, most of the country didn't even hear of him. But the Giants have been pretty good, too. It's funny, tonight we need a game over, so everybody's betting under. We're 39 with the total. I think we might even open at 40, but they bet me under 39.5 today. So we need it over, which is very rare for one of these Sunday or Monday night games. But I hope it's not as boring as last night's game was, because that was joking. They could have played a double or triple header, and that game wasn't going over. So we needed over probably more than anything tonight.
Yeah, what a game last night. And I'm with you. I need it over too. I'm riding that over in this one. Just looking a little bit too low, and everyone thinking that neither of these teams are going to be able to get the points on the board. I'm with the book on this one, which actually makes me feel better about my bet.
Good. So it's funny. Okay. You can always get lucky. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but you can always get lucky and win a game over. There's a fumble return, or a punt gets blocked or something like that. So you could get, if you win the game under, you have to actually win it. Whereas over, you can get lucky and pull it out late.
You know what I hate about the under, Chris, is I am cheering for no action. I'm cheering for those fumbles. I'm cheering for the turnovers where, I want to see the scoring. I love those high scoring ones. I do love defenses though, but even a pick six, you can't cheer for if you're riding an under.
Joe, root for your money. How's that sound? That's probably more important than exciting. It's exciting to cash a ticket. How's that?
Absolutely. You've always got to root for your money. Chris, what else is happening at South Point, Las Vegas?
Well, we got a lot of college football too, which probably isn't nearly as big for our Canadian clientele, but it is huge here. In the last couple of years, on a weekly basis, we probably write just about as much college business as we do pro business. But over the course of time, of course, you have the playoffs run longer in the NFL, and then you have the Super Bowl, and you have to win the Super Bowl, to win the divisions and all that. And at the end of the year, it adds up to a lot more. But on a weekly basis, the college football is just about as big as the NFL. So that's a huge, huge part of our business. And I personally love the college game myself. I laugh about the college game. You could be down 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter, and you're still right in the middle of the game. That's not the case in the NFL. So I think it's a little more exciting. It's a little more fun. And, it starts at 9 o'clock in the morning out here on the West Coast and goes till, sometimes 11, 12 o'clock at night. So it's a long, long day, but a lot of fun and a lot of action.
Yeah, absolutely. Those spreads in college football can be massive. Where are you guys finding yourself sitting with these large spreads? Have the favorites been cashing more than the dogs? Do you know off the top of your head, Chris?
No, not really. Not at all. No. And we've had a couple of 50-point spreads this year. I think this week, the biggest one is Ohio State. They're a 41-point favorite. But I know Bama. I think Bama was 50 last week. I think Georgia was 50 one week. I think Michigan was 50 one week. So we've had some monstrous numbers. But it's Joe, it's kind of like an even split, like pretty much most things out there. About half the dogs cover, about half the favorites cover. So it's just, part of the handicap.
Just a matter of being on the right side of those numbers. Chris, when you look at the year overall at the South Point, where do you think the most money comes in? Is it in football?
It is in football, but probably not quite as much as you think. And I'm speaking for the South Point itself. You haven't been here, I don't think,
I
but we have
haven't yet.
very
Can't wait to get
well.
there.
When you come down, the rooms are on me, kid. You know, drinking and gambling, you're on your own. But the rooms I'll take care
Which
of.
is smart of you because I'm sure I'll do way more drinking than gambling than actually be in that room.
Okay, well, see, I played it right. You know, the way we have it here, we have a lot of local business, and our parking is very accessible. So our basketball and baseball business, percentage wise, are probably stronger in a lot of other places in town. You know, because that's just an everyday thing, every day, every day, every day, and it's a little harder. You know, for some of the other properties where parking is a difficult measure to face on a daily basis. Whereas football, you know, listen, they once or twice a week they come in and bet. Where baseball and basketball, even hockey, it's a daily thing, and we do very, very well in those sports. Not that we do badly in football. Football is great, but overall, those other sports hold their own, and probably more so in our place than a lot of others here in town.
And that's fantastic to hear. Okay, Chris, let us know anything that's going on this week at South Point that if people are in the area, they should come check out, as well as where to follow you and South Point on social media.
Well, you can follow South Point at South Point LV, you know, at South Point LV. Follow me at Andrews Sports, 2 S's in the middle there. We always have stuff going on at the South Point. I can't even keep up, but we do have the South Point 400 coming up. I want to say 3 weeks. I think it's October 16th or something like that. The South Point 400 and NASCAR race, a big deal for us every year. We sponsor that. We have equestrian events all the time. You know, listen, we got movie theaters, bowling alleys, 11 restaurants, whatever you want to do. You could find it here at the South Point. And even if you want to find Joe Madden drinking, you'll have to make your arrangement to come down and see her at some point in time. So
absolutely, we should definitely book that in. Chris, it was an absolute pleasure to have you here today. You guys make sure you go give Chris Andrews a follow, as well as South Point Las Vegas on all social media. Chris, until next time, have a great day, and thank you for joining me here on the Joe Madden Sports Show.
See you
Thank
later.
you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.